Really, this is interesting to see. James Gunn is being blamed for Marvel's post Endgame failures. Looking at the last 6 years of Marvel content and why we ended up in this position today is not just because of James Gunn. Let's get that out the way. Let's dive into this even further. Now, we know that Kevin Feige came out, I believe, in 2018 and said that he wanted to introduce more female Marvel characters. Okay, no problem. Here's where things went south for Marvel. You decided to get away from your core audience, which is men and boys, because Marvel is a boy brand. Think about it. The top characters in Marvel are men, like your Spider-Mans, your Wolverines, Iron Mans, Captain America. It is led by men. What did Marvel do? Well, they started toning down these characters like your Thors, your Hulks. Hulk became Smart Hulk and didn't become Angry Hulk again. Thor looked like a weak version of himself after we transitioned from Endgame. And the thing is this, when you push that type of content out and you bring in female characters and you're just doing this to check off a box, you're focused on identity politics, it's going to drive your core fan base away. And now we're left with what? Avengers Doomsday, and you're hoping that the nostalgia and bringing back Robert Downey Jr. is going to save the Marvel Universe. And I don't know if that's going to happen. So James Gunn is now getting blamed for the failures, which follows recent reports that his DCU Superman movie was a financial bust and that both his Peacemaker and Creature Commandos shows flopped. Our insiders have told us that once Warner Brothers Discovery is sold, Gunn will be out as head of DC Studios. We shall see about that. Still a long way to go, in my opinion. That's why he's rushing to get his own projects out as soon as possible. He's ditched the Gods and Monsters in favor of his Superman family Sega, and that's what's being reported. So Feige's MCU direction echoed Gunn's formula. So after Endgame, Kevin Feige took an approach to the MCU focused on the message, which obviously has not worked out. Sound familiar, DCU fans? That's the same direction Gunn has taken at DC. That approach proved disastrous for Marvel. According to YouTuber Grace Randolph, gave Feige and Marvel notes on which creatives to hire. One example she cites is Peyton Reed on Ant-Man. I like the first two Ant-Man movies. They were funny and they were cool. Originally meant for Edgar Wright. Reed went on to direct all three Ant-Man movies, with Quantumania being such a huge failure that Marvel was forced to pivot, bringing back Robert Downey Jr. in a last-ditch Hail Mary effort to save the MCU. And we'll see if that does become a success or not next year. James Gunn, before he left Marvel, was recommending a lot of talent, right? A lot of that recent talent has led Marvel down the wrong path, a path that oddly DC is now going on. I'm interested to see how Randolph, now she hasn't been the biggest James Gunn fan, but she's also a shield to me, how she's pointing things out where Marvel has failed because of just James Gunn. I believe it's other factors. But anyway, she also added in the early days of Marvel, they were hiring more professional people, right? People who were more established. But then when Gunn came in, they started taking risks on like quirkier, lower down people. So when you don't have quality directors and people in place with these movies, you get low quality content. And that's what we've seen with Marvel ever since we transitioned out of Endgame. While she didn't name others Gunn may have influence, it's worth noting that Taika Waititi, hope I said that right, came in and struck gold with Thor Ragnarok, which I did enjoy. That was a great film. A film very much in the Guardians tone, yet post Endgame, Love and Thunder bombed hard. So I can't just blame James Gunn for these flops, because you look at all the choices like your She-Hulk, your Miss Marvel, Secret Invasion. It's not just on James Gunn, in my opinion. You also have to bring up the Eternals, the Marvels. I mean, these are just really bad stuff that Kevin Feige and Disney have pushed out to the audience. Again, I go back to this original point. Marvel is a boy brand. Imagine if they took Barbie and they made Ken the vocal point of the Barbie universe. How would the women feel about that change? They would be irate. You would see people on the internet on the women's side calling for that to be canceled, saying that we need to get back to the original roots. So that's what Marvel needs to do here, is get back to what worked for you before Endgame. People were excited about Marvel. They were looking forward to going to the movies. We didn't have these problems before Endgame. I didn't care that we had a Black Widow. People weren't talking about, oh, why are they going for the message? They were just making good movies. Did every single film hit at the box office, or did it get received well from the audience? No, but there was continuity. There was exciting characters, and we actually cared. Now we're in a situation where it's like Do I really want to go see Doomsday? Should I really care about that? Now, Spider-Man Brand New Day will be a great movie because it's one of the main characters in Marvel. I expect that movie to do well, but we've seen Tom Holland since the Infinity Saga. So of course we're going to care about that character because he was part of the Avengers universe. So I don't expect that movie to flop at all. I'd be surprised if it did. But ever since Endgame, we've had really not a lot to be excited about. You look at even Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, that did well because we saw the first two films during the Infinity Saga. You look at a movie like Deadpool and Wolverine, we have seen Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, part of that universe with your Thors, your Iron Man. So all the success that Marvel has experienced after Endgame was tied to the previous era. So they need to figure out how to get back on track. I liked Fantastic Four First Steps. Unfortunately, the box office numbers don't align with how good that movie was, in my opinion. And that's a result of the poor quality that Marvel has put out. You could say, oh, why do fans complain now? Why do they point out the fact it's not the same? Well, we weren't having these problems back then. We'll see how this all plays out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Love to hear your thoughts of James Gunn being blamed for Marvel's failures. Do you agree or disagree with that sentiment? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.